Welcome back to the channel. This game features Nigel Short against Boensch, a German IM played in the Lvov tournament round 2 in February 1984. The game started with Sicilian defence, and the Keres attack, which is one of Nigel's favourites. All normal stuff. Nigel thrusts in the to gain some more space on the king side and in the centre. And black expands on the queen side. Nigel allows the knight to be kicked, but throws in bishop to b4, bishop to b6 first, attacking the queen. And the knight retreats. But this does allow black to strike in the centre. And the position is fairly equal. Black has equalised quite nicely. Here black offers the exchange of bishops, maybe knight to d8, threatening the c pawn. Might have been a better option. Kicking the rook. And maybe here again, rook to c1 may have been slightly better, overprotecting the c pawn, allowing the queen to be freed. Nigel chooses to defend the d pawn on d2 as opposed to c1. And white's last piece gets activated. Here Nigel plays knight to a5, forcing the trade of knights, which I think would have been slightly better for black, as his knight in b7 wasn't particularly good. And does allow him to now strike in the centre, forcing white to take as d4 would not be good for white. Offering the trade of bishops, Nigel decides that he doesn't want to trade the bishops. I think long term, keeping the bishop on the board is a good idea. Hitting the a pawn, there's no sensible way for black to defend it. So Nigel's actually a pawn up, but black has good counterplay, and the position is still pretty equal. This hits the rook, obviously offers the trade of rooks as well. And now the rook's the rook's attacking the c pawn as well. So Nigel attacks the bishop. White chooses to defend the bishop with queen to d5, which is a bit of a bad move. I think bishop to d5 would have been better. And then offering the trade of white bishops. I think black will have a slight edge here, where the move played, I think, gives white the slight edge in that in that c4 can be played, kicking the queen and getting the C and D pawns rolling on the queen side. Which Nigel duly does. Rook to d8 is played here, allowing the queenside pawns to continue to advance with tempo. I think Black underestimates the fact that these pawns are going to roll. Here Nigel plays bishop to g2, obviously hitting the pinned bishop on b7. I think c5 would have been a much better move just to keep the pawns rolling. Threatening c6. And here Black's probably forced to give up to the bishop. And White has a very nice position and a clear advantage in this position. Nigel played bishop to g2, but does allow Black's next move, e4, to intercede, and the e-pawn is now quite dangerous for Black. Bishop realising that it's done its job, making the pawn go forward, it's gone back, and Black duly pins it, breaking the pin. And this is an odd move from Black. He's trying to obviously to undermine the pawn chain plus, but does allow g5 in some things, or it basically just loses a pawn after White's next move. Bishop to e2 to hit the rook. The rook goes back to d8. Potentially, it should go to either to b1 to get behind the pawns and be more active. Nigel takes the pawn. He could have gone g5, which would have been quite nice as well, but a pawn's a pawn. And here Black plays knight to d7, ignoring the fact that White can play h6 in this position. And basically the pawn can undermine the Black pawn, g7 pawn. And here there's a very nice tactic that wasn't played, in that White could have sacrificed the exchange on b7. Queen to d4 obviously threatens checkmate. Queen to b6 is forced. Trade of the queens after the pawns and the e pawn. White has a very nice position and a clear advantage with the two passed pawns on the queen side. Going to be the telling factor. This was missed by Nigel. He played knight to king to g2, and Black blockades the h pawn. Now White's obviously just going to trying to force open the king side. And here's probably the losing move. Knight to c5. It doesn't look that bad, but it does lose material. Again, the idea is rook takes b7, which is played, and you can't play knight takes b7 as White gets a seriously strong attack. And this would be totally winning for White. So the rook has to be taken by the queen. And obviously now the c5 knight drops. Check was played, and Nigel decides to block with the queen. Any trade of queens leads to a winning endgame. Threatening queen to f2 check, which is blocked. Again, the trading of queens is not an option for Black. And now White can attack the G pawn, which is seriously weak. Has to be defended. Overprotecting the G pawn and threatening queen to H4 check, which white defends. Black defends, excuse me. And this is a very nice tactic from Nigel, winning the dangerous past E pawn, and after the knight fork. White has two minor pieces and two passed pawns against the lone black rook. And some more manoeuvring. Nigel getting his king over to the queen side to help the advance of the pawns. And in this position, black resigned. The queen side pawns are going to slowly advance, and there's nothing black can do in order to stop them. A very nice positional game from Nigel. A good bounce back after his first round loss, and was playing his way into the tournament. Please like and subscribe if you like the video. I'll be back with some more videos from the Lvov tournament. Bye for now. Thank you very much.